Hey guys, it's me, EODGamerz here. So the price of Exalted and a lot of other currencies have moved very significantly in the recent few days. This video, I want to do a quick market brief, which I will do on the channel every time there's major market movements. Why? What do you do? And also, what is the best practices moving forward as well, hoping to help you understand better about the economics of Path of Exile 2. Now, first things first. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of people asking me on Discord as well as comments, like what should they do with their resources? Why is Exalted tanking and stuff like that? The biggest mistake that you need to know to avoid making is looking at these two products in isolation. Exalted and Divines, yes, they might have a relationship with each other, but it doesn't tell you the full picture of what's going on in the market right now. And I don't expect you guys to know exactly because it takes a lot of work. I spend 4 hours a day monitoring the markets, the trends, different hours, US time zone, EU time zone, Asia time zone to see the different market movements. And I summarize all of it in this video for you guys as well in just a couple of minutes. So I put it over here. I changed the colors of the chart. Previously, it was like white background. Some of you might not like the blinding white light into your eyes. Maybe you're watching this in a dark room or something. But this is a price movement chart that we have tracked since early January, like since the new year started. And now we have a very nice price movement of all the different asset classes of currencies. We track a few. You can see over here. These are the basket that we track. I highlighted mainly the 3 that I want to talk about today, which is Mirror of Calandra, Exalted Ops, as well as Chaos Ops. This helps us better understand a bit, and I will then take this and compare it to something else, which I will draw more analysis from. But first things first, what am I seeing? If we ignore the Mirror of Calandra first, let's look at both Chaos Ops as well as Exalted Ops. This dark line, and I apologize for any of you colorblind folks as well watching this video. I understand some of you might be. Don't worry, my voice, my narration will be enough, but just want to give a huge apologies for colorblind folks. This line over here, the Exalted Ops line, this dark line that my cursor is now going on, this Exalted Op prices has been coming down over the weekend and it has been just continuously falling. Now, one of the major things that you guys need to know that I have observed is during the weekend is when price starts to move the most drastically, and usually it recovers. But in this case, it's an unusual fact because Monday and Tuesday passed. It's Tuesday, it's of time recording for me, and it started to continue going down. The question about this is there are many factors, supply and demand, which we'll talk about in a bit, but more importantly is the Chaos Ops section. It's not just Exalted tanking. So if you can say that, oh, people farm Exalted is too worthless, people use it, there's not enough churn rate, supply and demand and stuff like that, people farm Exalted too much, then Chaos Ops shouldn't be going down so drastically as well. But over here, we see Chaos Ops dropping equally as much over the weekend, and it has stabilized a little bit now, but Exalted has continued to drop. So it tells us that the fault not only lies in Exalted itself, not purely Exalted, but the value of Divine Ops just went up in the recent times. So it's to the benefit of Divine Ops and not to the fault of Exalted. That's a key difference that you need to make, because Chaos Ops also had a similar trajectory. Now, if we compare this, we add in, for example, other products. If you look at this very faint line over here, my cursor is scrolling over it, this is the Omen of Whittling. So at the same time, while your certain currencies are dropping with respect to your Divine Ops, this Omen of Whittling has actually been increasing over time, even though the patch gave us the result of more omens. Now more people are into crafting, they're looking for endgame gear. So Omen of Whittling actually has slowly been climbing up, which is very counterintuitive because it's more omens, you think that it'll be more friendly, so more people will actually supply into the market. More supply means lower prices, but no, the demand for omens have just been shooting up. Also, the drop rates hasn't really, honestly, isn't increased that much, right? You guys have been running rituals, and how many of you have actually seen multiple expensive omens that go for 7, 8 divines? I think very few, unless you are super lucky. But now that we look at this, we look at the overview. Mirror of Calandra is more of an idiosyncratic situation that is going on that I want to touch on towards the later part of this video. But once we look at this, there's a second part to this picture of the Exalted and Chaos story. If we go up here, and this is where the broader view comes in, I have the other asset classes here as well in my overall basket that I have. So this overall basket actually tells me you can see certain items are spiking up in price relative to everything else. And of course, this graph, so many lines, so many stuff, is not going to be easy to read. the important part is we have summarized in a inflation index. Basically, I just crafted an inflation index. I have in this line over here, this top blue line and this bottom line that is in red. One is an equal weighted index, which basically takes and says every unique item is equal importance to currencies. Whereas the red line, my adjusted weight, puts a more emphasis on currencies so that we can see a difference. Over here, this is where like the graphs that we put out for you guys, even on Discord when I share with you guys what it means and how to read it, anything above this one line is divine ops are worth less, inflation is going up. Anything below this line, this horizontal one line, is there's deflation, divine ops are worth more relative to everything else that we are tracking. So when you are talking about currencies, across the board currencies, the best performer generally across the board is divine ops, out of like chaos ops, out of even mirror of Calandra in terms of like respective value, in terms of exalted ops over a period of like since the start of January. Whereas the ones that actually have been outperforming in terms of value are the unique chase items over here. And it's because of certain high-flying currencies, the high demand meta, that is actually pushing up the demand for divine ops. As a result, people want to go for temporalis, people want to go for Astra Mantis, people want to go for dream fragments and even ingenuity belt as well. We see all these price movements and we notice them all in the chart over here that we have been tracking. Every unique item generally is moving upwards, at least the key ones. The only exception is like Headhunter, who's not really doing so well. Maybe it's quite common. As you guys might know, like heavy belts might not be easy to sell anymore. They're common one because no one's buying it because the P&L is actually negative generally. So this is what it tells us on an economic overview. The demand for divine ops is driven by your chase items, unique items like your Astra Mantis and your temporalis. It's not a use case. People are not using divines as much. It's just in order to buy these expensive items, temporalis and Astra Mantis, no one is going to accept as exalted ops from you if you're trying to trade them. You have to trade it in divines for the multiple like hundreds of them that they will cost right now in the economy. So that is one of the significant things that's pulling up the prices of divines. At the same time, a lot of people have been mentioning, and I think it's better if we go back, for example, into the game system over here. If the reason why like Exalted is super common, if you run like your maps, right? If you go in, you run your maps, you juice your maps in terms of like getting your waystones with multiple nodes as well. You use the Exalted, you slam it in, you get many lines. There is a burn rate, a use case for Exalted. You might get it back in the form of simulacrum splinters if you use deliriums. You might get it back in other forms like rarity drops, common white items and stuff like that. But generally speaking, Exalted Orbs is the currency that all your white items, your simulacrums would transact into, which means that Exalted Orb is actually quite common, and you realize that you can actually drop a lot of these Exalted Orbs as you hit like higher tier 15, tier 16s. For some of you early game players, it might seem a bit strange that a lot of us like later game players say Exalted Orbs is common, but once you reach the end game, like deeper into the end game, you'll realize that Exalted Orbs is actually quite in abundance. The one that is actually still quite rare is the Divine Orbs, which until now I've been playing for a couple of since day one, and Divine Orbs I've dropped like 3 in total, which is considered, I would think, above average compared to like most people who started from day one. I assume. I don't have like super massive rarity as well. So the supply for Exalted Orbs is much higher. The burn rate for Exalted Orbs is high, but not enough to curb the requirements of Exalted. It's really, really in surplus, especially if you can clear the entire map easily. You have very, very high drop rate. You have rarity meta. You likely will see a lot more Exalted and are in massive surplus. If the meta is towards Spark Archmages, then you will generally see people with a lot more surplus in Exalted than not. So the other thing about that, and let's go back into the chart now. Now that we've mentioned about Exalted and Divines, the question is, what should you be doing, right? Should you actually be dumping everything, and should you be actually saving in Exalted, saving in Divines? My recommendation for most people is save your resources in Divines. Not because we did like a video out before calling one of them silver, which is Exalted Orbs. Divine Orbs, the analogy is gold. Why? Is because silver has more practical use, whereas gold is like a hedge for like your wealth. So Exalted Orbs silver can be used in industrial applications. It can be used in rolling your stuff, juicing your waystones and stuff like that, and buying stuff on the market. You need it to transact. You use smaller currencies to actually transact for smaller stuff. Divine Orbs, on the other hand, this is a hedge for your wealth. Expensive items you need to transact in Divine because if you try to, like, for example, buy a Mirror of Calandra, you're going to find it hard. How are you going to take 10,000? I don't even think the backspace can take 10,000, can it? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it can. No, I don't think so. I don't even know how do you transact this. How do you even transact a 10,000 exalted deal with a Mirror of Calandra? I have no idea. But yeah, basically, Divine Orbs are your way of transacting for high value items. They are your goal. My recommendation will be to follow a rule of thumb, a certain ratio that you have. Check the video out if you're interested. It's Exalted versus Divine. I talk more in depth about what is the best strategies for wealth management. This video, I want to talk more about market movements. But long story short, keep your wealth in Divines. How much of it? Check the video out. Exalted, you still need it. Don't get rid of all your Exalted because these are still important for you to buy layman stuff, buy your day-to-day items to help you function your account. Now, the second part of this video I want to talk about is Mirror of Calandra. Now, this is another thing that has been moving in the markets as well. And some of you are wondering, why is it moving? I thought since it's a market brief, I might also address it as well in this video. So for those of you who haven't seen our recent video, how to get a Mirror of Calandra as well, we showcased it 2 days ago. And back then the price was 248 when we bought it on our account. Mirror of Calandra has moved up since, almost double in price. And now it's at about 400. It was like it was steadily growing up. Like yesterday it was like 320 or something. Today it's like 400, almost there. And I think it likely might move up closer to back where it was. One of the biggest things that happened recently was there are some news that might have been a bug, a glitch in the system that allowed people to get multiple copies of key items like Divines, like Exalted, like Mirror of Calandra. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? It's definitely not correct for people to be abusing any bug whatsoever. I don't agree with it. I think it's against terms of service as well. But either way, when you have a lot of people generating these items, it wasn't so easy to generate. If not, the price of like Mirror of Calandra will be like 1:50, right? 1:20 Divines, and then all your items are worthless. No one will be crafting at all. No one will be buying anything. But that wasn't the case. So it might have been a difficult bug to actually implement. Maybe that is challenging. But it seems to have been patched. GGG recently put out a patch. They didn't give an official statement. So all of this is also like just speculation. One thought is like going down the bug angle because no one actually knows and proved that the bug exists. And GGG never made a statement on this entire like Mirror of Calandra, Divine Orb bug that people are saying going around. People call it a dupe, but it's more than that. I think it's just a massive bug that they are fixing. So no official statement. What other thing could have been done that I think, if you're talking about economic standpoint, game related, because price movements always move. One other thing that could be also driving the prices of Mirror of Calandra down is that people are now more into crafting rather than into holding their wealth in Mirror of Calandra. Because Mirror of Calandra is like your ultimate luxury. It's like the stuff that won't move. Like I guess is if Divine Orbs was like gold, Mirror of Calandra, I guess, is like residential property. You buy like houses and stuff like that in major cities, of course, so that you can get the upside. Now, going back to the graph over here, we can actually understand a bit better about Mirror of Calandra's movement. So it came down over here, but at the same time, while it's going down, you have your omens moving up. If your omens are moving up, means that you can tell that there's a higher demand for crafting in the market. So it's not just looking at price item, it also signifies, and the graph that we put out, the one that we analyze, helps us understand the market better. When your prices of omen are whittling moving up, means more people are into crafting. And you can see over here, since like this portion, this segment where my mouse is, there is a divergence in terms of the price. They were previously like it wasn't no much like correlation to each other, but then they started to diverge. Your omen of whittling horizontal because of the patch notes. People were worried that omen of whittling, omens and stuff like that, getting more common, maybe the prices won't go up. No one's really like selling, no one's really like buying it right now. But then the moment the patch notes finished, Mirror of Calandra continued going down. So maybe the wealthier people are selling it, buying, using the device to buy bulk items, to craft the mirror-worthy items, and then slowly, generally, it goes up. The omens go up because a lot of people are now like interested in crafting, even with the omen buff too. So you start to see those movements as well in terms of the higher demand for crafting. So wealthier people are converting it over to certain assets as well. And that is just how I see the economy right now. Where do I think it will go? What it will happen? I think that Mirror of Calandra will still be the hallmark item to reserve capital in. Do I want to sell my Mirror of Calandra? I will let you guys know in a couple of videos as well to think about it, because crafting is actually very, very profitable. At the end of the day, you want a mirror item. The Mirror of Calandra is useful after you have the mirror worthy item as well in order to continue making more and more money. But anyways, at this point of time, I just want to give a massive shout out for any of you who like our presentation, our thoughts as well. We also have a EOD Money channel where we talk about real life stuff. We even talk about like the 11 sectors of the stock market in the US, how we go on to like the different economies, the different parts of the stock market. I even talk about how you actually can make money on Steam. This one has like 67k views 1 year ago. If you guys like our way of presentation, you like our straightforward approach, do consider checking this videos out on EOD Money. If you like it, maybe subscribe. But anyways, guys, thank you guys again so much for watching. We have more Path of Exile content on the channel as well. Check it out right here, especially this one, which teaches you how you can get your first Mirror of Calandra step by step. See you guys in the next video.